Mark Schmidt, and the St. Bonaventure Bonnies are ready at the stage in Pittsburgh. Let's go to them.
Go ahead, Coach.
I'm really excited to be here. Pittsburgh, the last time we were here, did an unbelievable job with the tournament. Feels like they really want us here, and we're really appreciative of that. Looking forward to having a good year. Got a bunch of new guys, 11 new guys, I believe. DeSante and Xander. Wedlow are the two returning guys, so we got a lot of work ahead of us. Started practice on Wednesday. Things are going well, and hopefully we can have a injury-free preseason and go into the non-conference with a healthy group, and hopefully we can have a good record and getting into the Atlantic 10 with some momentum and competing in one of the best conferences in the country.
Can you just raise your hand? We'll get you the mic in the back.
Hi, Coach. Spencer Bates, Olean Star. Obviously, Woj made his announcement that he was coming back to St. Bonaventure before last season. This was your first off season with him. I want to get your perspective on how that went overall.
It's been terrific. Woj has done a tremendous job, and you can see why he was so successful in his former job. Dedication. He's working just as hard, probably harder, but with more enjoyment. He has great partners with all these agents. He's done a tremendous job, not just with in his job, but just throughout the campus. He's really brought some enthusiasm, some expertise, which is critical. And in today's landscape with this NIL and portal, and having somebody with his experience is really a game changer for us.
Coach Tristan Freeman from
Coach,
I'm sorry. Yeah, Tristan Freeman, Bustin' Brackets. You, more than any other coach in the A-10, you really went down the JUCO route with a lot of your former players. So far this offseason, seen a lot of international guys come in for you. Is there any difference or similarities between those two different kinds of players?
No, I'm not sure if going the junior college route is accurate. We try to really stay away from that. But I think in today's world, you got to, if you're going to win, especially in a league like the Atlantic 10, you got to win being old. Right? You can have really good freshmen, but you're not going to win with freshmen. And if freshmen really have a good year, then they're probably leaving. So we really have done a good job in trying to get, portal kids and European kids. And when I talk about European kids, the guys that we have, they've played. They're not typical freshmen. Over there they've played, against men for a number of years. So we're getting guys that are schooled. There's some adjustment in terms of the culture and so forth, but they've played so long with older guys that they're more accustomed to this level. And the other thing is that European players, and I've said this over and over, they're so well coached. Not that the American isn't well coached, but they're just fundamentally they're so advanced than the typical 17-year-old high school kid American. So we're excited about that, and that's an avenue that we've taken on, and I think it's been successful. And Woj has a lot of connections over there. So we haven't done it in the past. We've, like, before the NIL, we had a lot of Canadians and a few guys from Senegal. But for the most part, we've really have done a better job in connecting over there, and hopefully that will be a positive for us as we go forward.
And for DeSante, you had a lot of early success in your first year before the injury. But what was you able to see on the sidelines in terms of how the offense is run? That's what's going to help you be having a better second year.
Some things I was able to see is just simple things that you can't see when you're on the court. Like people always say, once you're on the side, you see the game a lot more clear. So some things I may or may not have seen while I was playing, I was able to pick up and see off the court, and then even bring that in to my team this season. So just to see that, like, our strengths, some things we could have improved on, like we really struggled sometimes, like getting into sets in the half court last year. But I think that's something we've already nipped in the butt this year. Like we moved the ball almost better than any team I think I've been on up until now. And then just getting out in the open court, I think last year, and it'll be the same this year. When we get out in the open court, I think we're a hard team to stop.
Coach, you talked about older wins in this in college basketball. The talent on this team runs deep. From your upperclassmen to your lowerclassmen, but typically, once you get through your non-conference league, that bench really shortens up. Is this a team you can see that as the season progresses, you expand your bench, or is that something you're?
Yeah, who knows? I think we have, 13 capable players, and that's what the preseason's all about, trying to find, what works, what doesn't work. And it's not, I always say, it's not the 5 best players that play or the 8 top players, whatever. It's the guys that play well together. And that's what the preseason is about. I thought, the guys that we've brought in, through the portal, high school kids, portal kids, European kids, right now, they're practicing to impress the coaching staff. And I tell them all the time, the better you practice, it gives you an opportunity to play in the game. And then when you play in the game, now you have to earn more time the better you play. But right now, in the next 4 weeks, they're given an opportunity to showcase what they can do. And the better they play in practice, the more opportunity they'll get in the game. So, we've played, as everybody knows here, we've played 5 guys, and we've played 8, 9, 10 guys. So every year is different, and, that's what the preseason's for, to find out, what we have and, who you can depend on. And, as the season goes along, as I told our players, you may be the 10th guy not getting any time at all, and you continue to work, and you earn that time in practice, and you want to get the assistant coaches on your side, and the assistant coaches come into my office and say, "Hey, coach, you got to play this guy." So it's all the way through the season, and injuries are a part of it. The whole Tom Brady thing. You never know when your name's going to be called. You got to be prepared for it. So I think, like I said, I think we have 13 good players, and now it's practice. And we'll really shake it up, and we'll see what we have.
Second row.
Mark, Will Graves with the Associated Press. I have 2. The first one is back to the international player stuff. I mean, was it intentional? What sort of, led to that shift?
No, it's not. It's intentional a little bit. I think, we may have more an opportunity with the international kids to maybe keep them for another year. As I said in the press conference or whatever we had out there for the lunch, I think the key, one, you got to get the kids, but it's really, really imperative if you're going to be successful to be able to keep them. All right, and that's the key to any program. And if you look at the 5 guys that were on the preseason first team, they're all guys that have come back, because those guys know the system. They're culture guys. They know how to lead. So in order, the retention part of this is so important. And hopefully that, we don't know what's going to work. And I don't think anybody really knows. It was still in the beginning of this whole process. But I know one thing: you can't win. You can't go to the NCAA tournament. You can't win the Atlantic 10 with young kids. You need men, because you're playing against, some guys 24, 25, 26-year-old men. If you're an 17, 18-year-old kid, just physically, it's hard to compete. So that's the international players, we're expecting them to come in and compete and help us. But at the same time, the hope is that we can retain some of these guys, because in my opinion, that second year, that's the chance where you can be really good.
Sort of switching subjects a little bit, your son Nick has joined your staff this year.
Yes.
He's coached around a little bit. Like he didn't just kind of get this job. How does that affect the dynamic now that he's sort of officially on this, the father-son dynamic now that he's officially on the staff, and the fact that he's been around, is that, does he feel like he maybe knows as much as dad at this point?
Something, he's not silver spooned, I can tell you that. He earned his stripes. He was my GA, and then he went to Catholic, and then he went to Putnam, and then he went to Bryant. And people always say, you hired him because you're his son. That's part of the deal. I think it's really neat how many fathers can have the opportunity to coach with their son. I tell the story when he was the GA and then my youngest son was my GA the last 2 years. When the game is chaotic and when the game's going crazy, when you look back or when you're on a timeout and you see your son, it puts things in perspective. It's like we want to win, but family's most important. The other thing too is, the players know, right? The players know if a coach is good or not, and so you gain credibility by what you do in practice. And, you can hire, a big name, but if that guy doesn't know what he's doing, it doesn't matter. The kids see right through it. So he's going to do an extremely good job. He's well educated. He's been in the gym since he was 4 years old, and he's loyal. And that's a big part of this thing too. You don't want yes men, but you want people that are going to have your back, and who better than to have your son? So it's a deep, a great, unique dynamic. But I'm blessed to be able to have the opportunity to do that. And I think he's gonna make our staff better.
One last question in the back left.
Mark, just wanted to ask about DeSante and just how much of a stabilizing factor you think he's going to be now that he's healthy, especially after what you saw for the first 10 or so games last year.
Yeah, I think retention. Even though he only played 10 games, I think we were 9-1, or 11 games we were 10-1, whatever. We lost one game with DeSante, and sometimes getting injured is a blessing. I know it was torture for him going through the last 20 games watching us. But I think, as he mentioned earlier, I think when you sit on the sideline and you watch, it's a great learning. You have a great understanding of what's going on, what's needed. One thing, you're out there and the coach is telling you, but when you sit on the sidelines and you have an opportunity to watch for 20 games, I think he's going to be a much better player this year than he was last year. And he's healthy. Like I said, we were 9-1, lost to Utah State by 3 or 4 or whatever. That's the only game that he lost. He's a leader. He knows what I want. He's a quarterback, and I just think, a point guard, the quarterback is everything. He's the one that has the ball in his hands. He's the one that's leading the team. He's the one that can't overreact. He was named captain for a reason. That's not, coming from me. I don't have a vote. It just shows you the respect that he has from the players. And DeSante didn't practice a lot in the summertime, probably the last 2 weeks maybe. But his leadership off the court, his leadership when he was on the sideline, is invaluable. And for him to be selected captain says all you need to know.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll have St. Bonaventure women up next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you just heard a little bit why I think Mark Schmidt and the Bonnies have done so well over the years up in Ole in New York. Obviously, tough place to get to and recruit, but I mean, he has done phenomenal. And for the reasons that he said as well, it's about people. It's about connecting with the players. He does a lot of that. I've been very fortunate to get to know him very well over the last 4 or 5 years. Been up there in the off season at charity golf tournaments and all that. It's like people want to play for him.
Yeah.
They want to go up there. They want to be part of that family. It's pretty impressive at St. Bonaventure.
No question. And to have his son on staff,
Yeah.
his other son now this year on staff, and for him to look up and see your son, it puts everything into perspective, family first, and you can't beat that.
DeSante Bowen, he's standing by once again with Seth.
Thanks, Mike. DeSante, we spent some time with Coach Schmidt today, and a lot of people have said, when you were healthy, right, St. Bonaventure was 9-1. Tell me why you were 9-1 when you were on the floor.
Of course, it was a team effort, but just being a leader and that quarterback on the floor, an extension of coach, it gives a different perspective out there, knowing what coach wants and knowing what he needs us to do to execute out there. So when you take the quarterback off a team, it kind of changes the dynamic and the approach to the game. And then, honestly, I think when I'm out there, I get guys open looks. I got guys open shots, and I made it easy for guys to kind of do their job.
What did you learn sitting out and becoming basically a de facto assistant coach?
I would say I learned our actions even better than I knew them before, just having to watch them every single day. And then watch the mistakes we made in a game or how we executed them in a game, and then what we wanted to run in certain situations. So being able to see that from the side kind of gave me the advantage I have now today to get it across to this new team we have.
So talking about a new team, you got 6 new guys. You got the international connection. You got Big Joe. First of all, tell me a little bit about Joe. Fullerton College, played only 1 year of college basketball, 6'9", kind of looks like Bill Walton to me. I mean, kind of explain what he's all about.
He's unique, man. He's unique. Humble guy, genuine, great person off the court, but even better on the court. Like you said, he's 6'9", but he moves like a guard. So that gives us a lot of versatility in that front court. And then he can play on the perimeter as well, shoots the ball, athletic. So gives you the best of both worlds.
Remember Joe Grohovic, right? He's no joke.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Chrissy, I just want to let you know you should get a star because at the end of 6 hours with Corey, you should get a Medal of Honor.
Is that right?
Back to you guys.
Is that right? Okay. I'm waiting for it. A gold star me. Yes, I appreciate it.
More than 6. We spent a couple hours in the lunchtime.
Yeah,
hanging
we
out,
had
yeah,
lunch
so,
together,
yeah.
the whole crew over here. So, yeah, 8 hours.
That's the
No,
best.
whatever, just
Good
count.
job out there today, guys. That's going to wrap up St. Bonaventure. We'll get to George Mason in just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm liking what we're hearing, obviously.
Yes.
Of course, everybody's optimistic at this time of the year.
Of
But you know
course.
what? We've heard some things that are talking about culture,
Yeah.
from the coaches to the players. And when you hear it from them and you see it and it's genuine and sincere, it's like, okay, you want to keep guys together. You want to build a team. Sounds like they're doing the things that they need to do it.
Yeah, no question. And to hear DeSante say, hey, we were 9-1 when I was on the floor, but it was team first, right? And then he got to his impact of that run that they had before he went out with that injury. So team first will always be it for me.
Look, Mark Schmidt, and what he does, and he has a very extensive playbook, and he goes through everything. I mean, talk about, you heard some coaches say, like, hey, we try to simple it down, a little bit. We don't want to give them as much. He says to me, like, I got to know this stuff or I don't feel like I'm prepared.
Exactly.
So, but it's like, but what do the players know? So that's why some years he can run 6 or 7 guys or maybe 8 or 9 because they're ready for it. Sometimes he can only play 5 or 6 or 7. Everybody's like, what do you do with this? It's like, who's ready? And that's who's going to play. It has nothing to do with, I got to have 10 or I got to have 5. Whoever the best people and know the system, they're going to be out there.
Yeah, basketball is a rhythm game, okay? And for me, I used to tell the players who I was coaching, your practice time is your playing time. We're not even talking about the game being your playing time. You earn your playing time in practice. And he basically said the same thing. So you have to let the coach know that they can trust you, right? When you work on situations, who can throw that long baseball pass? I had to figure that out watching it in practice. And I put my softball kid on the baseline and we won a game in overtime because, she got that ball where it needed to go. It was Danielle Barr, shout out. But for me, you have to test that out, right? You can't go into a game and you're down 1 with 5 seconds and try to figure it out then. Like you have to work on those things. Coaches need to trust players.